Hello everyone. Right, in this video I'm going to be reviewing the new ARC on-ear system. This video is kind of in 4 parts. I'm making this bit after I've just edited it because I know how people's attention spans are very short, so I want to explain what's going on. The first part is just me experiencing it, unboxing it, setting it up, listening for the first time, going through, and you'll see my reaction to the unit. The second part, I'm outputting the audio from it so you can hear what the unit's doing. Obviously, if you're not wearing the same headphones as me, it won't sound right, but at least you can hear what the unit's doing to a track. The third part, I run it through Plugin Doctor so we see what it's doing, you know, with some graphs and stuff like that. And the fourth part is me kind of just summing up, discussing how much it costs, would I buy it, those kind of things. So it's in 4 parts. Feel free to skip around and all of that. Everything's time-stamped and I hope you enjoy the review. Hello everyone, welcome to this video. Welcome to Audio Tea Time. I think that's what I'm going to call some of my videos from now on. It's the morning here and I got up super early and I haven't even washed yet. I just put on a t-shirt to come down here and film a video about the ARC on-ear system. I want to have a listen to this. I haven't had the chance. I've been gigging the last few days and I haven't had a chance to properly do it. I didn't even want to open it until I had the camera on. So let's have a look and see what is inside. So I take off the red sleeve there. See what's inside this box. There's no little bit of plastic, so that's good. So the first thing that's in the top of this box is the actual system itself, the ARC on-ear system, which is a very nice solid metal design. A little bit of one of these plastic things. Oh, I love it when you pull the plastic off. Oh, that was a joy. I'm going to have a swig of tea after doing that. Okay, next layer down. Let's have a look. Got a bit of, I'm so clumsy. Got a bit of box there. It says inspected by 3. So whoever 3 is, they inspected this. Well done, 3. Got a little carry case for it, I'm assuming. Is there anything inside it? Oh, there's all the leads. That's nice. So we've got a mini jack to mini jack with a converter to big jack stereo there. And we got a USB-C lead there for connecting it up because it's got a digital to analog converter inside it. So you can connect it up to your computer and use it standalone, or you can use it analog. You can run analog in out your mixing desks, which is eventually what I'll do. I probably won't do that in this demo. I'll just connect it directly to my computer. And then at the bottom, the final thing, if I get that out, is the product registration card. And it's got, I'll cover it over, but it's got the serial number for the unit and where to download the app. So let's do that. I'm going to get rid of these boxes out the way. And we will download the app and see what it does. So I've gone to ikregister.com and it's forwarded me on to ikmultimedia.com/registration. I've got the IK product manager, so I'm going to register a new product. For fuck's sake. Been typing, it doesn't even go to the next box. Downloading the software. Okay, so I've installed the software and now it just wants me to update the firmware. So let's do that. So for the first set of tests, I'm going to be using my AKG, what are they again? I'm trying to remember. K702s, I think they are. Bloody hell, my eyesight's getting worse. K702s. So I'm going to be using those. I'm really not someone that uses headphones that often, only if I'm sort of tracking vocals or, yeah, I really need to use them. I wouldn't go so far as saying I detest them, but they're not something I feel comfortable mixing on. And it's something I want to get better at, particularly being influenced by watching certain creators that absolutely swear by headphones. And it would make a lot of sense because I spend a lot of time on the road. So I would like to be able to sort of do at least sort of decent mixes while I'm on the road and not have my full studio. So if this works, if this gets me somewhere close to being able to do proper work on the road, then this is going to be a game changer for me. But right, okay, so in the software we've got calibration, we've got studio simulation, and we've got virtual speakers. Now, I've tried a few of these digital systems, the in-the-box systems that do this before, and I've almost always liked the calibration with EQ. I've almost never liked the studio simulation side of it. Not that they call it that, other ones, but you know what I mean. The spatial simulation of feeling like you're in a room. I've never enjoyed any of that. And I've also never enjoyed the virtual speakers. So if this does the calibration as well as the others, but convinces me that the studio simulation or the speaker simulation stuff is worthwhile as well, then this is definitely up on the others. I mean, it's already up on the others because it takes an analog in, and I can run it with my setup here without having to feed the signal back into the door through a headphone simulation plugin and back out again to my headphones. So even if it just does the calibration well, it will be useful for me. But I'd love it if it did the studio simulation better than other ones that I've tried that I'm not going to name. I've never reviewed them because I didn't think they were that good. Waves. Okay, let's turn the calibration on. And let's select my headphone models. So these are AKG, as I said. They are the... now this is fairly annoying, okay? Even though I can see it from the pictures, I'd really just like a text list. Because some of these headphones on black backgrounds kind of look like other ones. I mean, those 612, at a glance, those 612 Pros look similar to the K702s till I look close, and the K701s, I don't know, at least they stand out. I know they're a different colour, but can I change this to a list? I can search. Okay, so at least that's good. Yeah, okay, fair enough. So you can do a text search, so I'm not completely upset about that. But I'm someone that likes a list, and I like to be able to order by name. So, for example, you've got type here and you've got impedance. I'd like to have a list, like we've got the manufacturers here, but a list here with all the columns of all the things that the headphones do, so I could kind of order by... I mean, you can search for it. I didn't spot that immediately. My eye went over to the right where the headphones are. I mean, personally, if I was designing this, I would have put the search up here on the right. But, you know, this is not a game changer. Once I've found my headphones, it's fine. I'm just giving it to you as I see it, as it happens. So let's select those. 9 dB of safe headroom. Okay, let's go with that for now. It's got a tilt EQ here for the, you know, so you can make it brighter or warmer. That's what warm means. Just a little bit more bottom end. I didn't realise that. I thought it meant something to do with, I don't know, it's just a word. Anyway, phase align, I'm assuming, switches it to linear phase, which will introduce some latency. Personally, I've never heard static phase shift. You only hear, in my opinion, you only hear phase shift when it's compared to another thing. So if you had two speakers and then you shifted the EQ on that one, it would cause phase shift between the two different speakers. If you've just got headphones and it's controlled like this, and it's just a signal going in, and you've got static phase shift with minimum phase EQ, I don't think I'm going to be able to hear this, but I'll put on that phase align later and see if I can tell any difference. Okay, so that's that. Let's see if I set my output here to ARC on-ear. I should be able to hear something. I'm going to load up a mix and have a listen. Let's turn it off first. Okay, so at the moment you won't be able to hear this, but I can. Or can I? Volume control, that would help. So this is flat. I've got no I've got no calibration. Okay, that sounds good. Sounds better. Tone all the way up. I mean, that's subtle. That is subtle. That's less subtle, but that might be... Can I tell the difference in the phaser line? There is actually more of a noticeable difference than I thought there'd be in the phaser line. It's kind of changing the EQ a fair amount in these headphones, particularly on the bottom end. I'm getting the bass drum a lot more out. Now, you can't hear this at the moment. A point in this video, I'm going to kind of try and do this, I think, in 3 parts. I'm just giving you my experience of how I'm feeling just using them for the first time, my live reaction to that. And then the second bit, I'm going to come out of there and I'm going to record some of this so you will hear what I'm hearing, even though it won't be right because you won't necessarily be using the same headphones. At least you'll be able to hear what's going on, you know, as I change the tone. So that's going to be the second part. And then the third part, I want to put it through Plugin Doctor and try and kind of work out what's going on under the hood. We'll send it some sort of impulses and other things. So let's move on to the... I'm going to leave phaser line on. I actually quite liked that. So that's the function button assignment. Okay, so I see there's a function button on the unit. So you can... Oh, I see. So I could put that to phaser line and turn it on and off with the button. That's actually good with phaser line on. It doesn't seem to be stopping and introducing latency. So I wonder if it is how, you know, because linear phase requires you know, some buffer to process. So unless it's always got some latency, and then, but I can't see them adding latency when you turn phaser line off. So we'll look into that. We'll see what that's doing. Let's look at the studio simulation. So I've turned the ambience off for the moment. I just want to listen to the width. That's wider. That's a lot more mono. So having the width on 200% and turning studio simulation on without the ambience sounds fairly similar. I'm not saying it's identical, but it's when you bring the width to 100%, it's more like real speakers. I'm probably shouting now because I've got music in my ears, but I'll hear that when I do the edit. For my tastes, and I might be wrong on this, I need more time with it, but without the ambience on, a width of about 110% seems more natural. 100 just seems a little bit too much brought in. Let's put ambience on. Ambience is doing something, but it's incredibly subtle. Incredibly subtle. Almost to the point where I'd say I don't really notice it. You know, in an A/B test, like blind A/B, like tomorrow, if you recorded 2 signals and said which one's got ambience on, which one hasn't, not 100% certain. I'd know that there was a difference, but I wouldn't 100% be able to tell you just with what I've done here, which would have it on or not. And I'm not sure which sounds better. Again, this is something I'm going to have to live with for a while. I don't think you're going to get a final opinion out of me today, but I'm giving it a bit of a try. Okay, let's move on to virtual speakers. Right, so they're meant to be NS10s. And they're meant to be 90s NS10s, are they? Okay, so they've got HS5s, I'm assuming. I mean, they've got loads of ear Adams, General X, KRKs. That is how I remember my NS10 sounding like, and it's a nice mid-range to, well, it's not a nice mid-range, but it's a detailed mid-range. Yeah, HS5s. They haven't modelled the HS7s. Quested, I'm assuming. Tannoys. Oh, they're nice. I want to buy a set of those speakers now, just on the profile. The speaker profiles they are making a difference, and they do sound nice, but they're not as extreme as other software versions of this thing that I've tried. The speakers just always, you put them on, it was like, Jesus, that's way too much. Whereas this is kind of giving a character of, you know, it's like I know what an S10 sounded like. I know what KRKs, and I've used Quested speakers in John Paul's old studio, and you know, General X, obviously everyone's used General X and heard Adams and whatever. And they're kind of getting the characteristic without being identical. But I mean, for example, I put on the Modern White 5, which I'm assuming is the HS5s, which is the smaller version of these, and I didn't like the HS5s because they just didn't have enough bottom end. I mean, maybe with the subs that I've got, they would, but the HS7s to me seemed like a perfect balance between the HS8s had too much bottom end; they were kind of flappy, and the HS5s didn't have enough. So I went for the HS7s, and they're very transient forward, I find. I mean, I know this isn't about the Yamaha HS7s, but they are very transient forward. And for someone like me that, when I'm mixing, likes to feel the slap of the drums, and I can kind of overdo it a bit in those speakers, and then it ends up being right in the mix. I want to see whether the HS5s as well, very transient forward. So does that come across in this? They do sound slappier. I mean, that's just an EQ thing. Oh, that sounds awful. Oh, which is right, because it sounds like it's coming through a TV. Yeah, I've heard Bluetooth speakers sound like that. I've also heard them sound a lot worse than that. Smartphone. Ow! See, that's quite a nice setup. Okay, so with those settings I've got there, the calibration with the phaser line, 110% width and ambience on the studio simulation. I did kind of prefer it with the ambience in, but I don't know whether that's just sweetening it up and is actually taking it away from hearing an accurate mix. But I'm just listening to a mix that I've done and going, what sounds nice to me. I'd leave the ambience in, and then the virtual speakers, I've got the main 7 selected. They sounded quite nice. I mean, that's, I could do with or without the virtual speakers, but they're not making it sound worse. And when I've tried other ones, the studio simulation and the virtual speakers always makes it sound like something that is much worse than before I turned it on. Whereas with these, they are improving the signal, but not necessarily in a way that's right for monitoring, for mixing. I don't know that yet. I'd need to do a mix using this to be able to tell whether it's helping or hindering. But it does sound nice. You know, I'm getting the toms pan the way I'd expect with the studio simulation, but you know, and the panning decisions I made, and the width. But I'm just wondering whether it's like one of those things in a car where you put it on where it kind of adds width and dimension to your sound, and really it's just kind of like adding a certain reverb, or it's doing some mid-side processing or something like that. So I don't know whether that's going to be helpful in mixing, but it certainly makes it sound nice. And the virtual speakers, I mean, you can just scroll through till you find something you like, really. But they don't seem to be offensive in any way. And the ones that I've checked to speakers that I know do sound fairly, you know, again, it's hinting towards it. It's not exact, because you know, these speakers in a different room will sound different. So they're kind of getting the general characteristic differences between the speakers, rather than like some other ones I've known where they've modelled a room. You can sit in Abbey Road and have the Abbey Road sound as if you're sitting in front of the desk. Now, I've sat in Abbey Road Studio 2 in front of the desk, and the sound you get out of the Waves one that simulates Abbey Road is nothing like sitting at Abbey Road. It's also nothing like sitting in Chris Lord-Alge's studio, I'm sure. Whereas this one, it just sounds less, I don't know, it sounds more convincing. It's definitely more convincing. I'm not offended by any of it so far. And I think that some of it, I don't know what yet, could add to my mixing experience should I want to mix on headphones. And I like the fact that it's got buttons on it that you can press, and it's got its own headphone volume on it. It's not just software based. So far it's very much a win for me. So the next thing I'm going to do is connect it up so I can actually record the output of it. I can go through some of these things, and hopefully you will hear what I'm hearing with this, even though it won't be 100% accurate unless you've got these exact headphones. But yeah, let's do that next. Right, so I've connected the output of the ARC On-EAR to the external inputs of my Big 6 desk, the right-hand Big 6 desk there, and I'm recording that back to the computer. So you're going to hear what this software is doing to the signal. So let's have a listen. So I'm going to turn all of it off. So that's the mix as I did it. Put the calibration on. So that's what it's doing to change my headphones.
Have you seen the news today?
We can brighten it.
It's not looking good.
Warm it.
Everyone's going crazy now, but we knew that they would.
I'm going to turn off the phaser line for a minute.
It's what they love to do. Well, how have you?
And I'll put it in.
You've not much to say.
There's a little click there.
Just turn off your TVs and you'll be okay.
Not there.
We'll blame it on the media today. It won't be
Off.
easy. It's gonna be hard to pick yourself back up again and remember who you are. If I could tell you,
Calibration off. Calibration on.
we'll blame it on the media until they
Right,
find.
let's put the studio simulation on. We'll turn the ambience off for now. Go back to 10% width. 200% width. Which, if I then turn that on and off, is probably the closest to actual headphones.
News today. It's the same old
And that's what it recommends, 100% width.
people falling for the looks like, and it's making them rich. Yeah, it's just what they do.
I'll put the ambience in.
One day they'll disappear, and hopefully they won't return.
I'm hearing something in the top end when I put that ambience in.
Watch as they burn. We'll blame it on.
Sort of high mids, top end. It's
It won't be easy.
smoothing it out. I don't know whether that will be useful, but it does sound nice.
Pick yourself back up again.
And finally, the virtual speakers.
If I could tell you, I've got so much to say.
And I'll run through a few.
We'll blame it on.
NS10s 80s, NS10s 90s, HS5s, KRKs, Tannoys, Quested, iLoud MTMs.
It won't be easy. It's gonna be hard to pick yourself back up again and remember who you are. If I could tell you, I've got so much to say. We'll blame it on the media until they go away. It won't be easy. It's gonna be hard to pick yourself back up.
Is that just a picture, or is there something you can interact with that or not?
If I could tell you, I've got so much to say. We'll blame it on the media until they go away.
I like it, okay? I like it, but I'm worried it will sweeten up. Not so much the calibration. I'm not worried about the calibration. The studio simulation and the virtual speakers side of stuff. Again, I'm not so much worried about the virtual speakers. I think that's probably just EQ. It's the ambience and the smearing of the top end somehow. I don't know that would be useful during mixing. Saying that, obviously, if you're sitting in front of speakers and the sound's travelling through the air, it's getting smeared by the air. So they're trying to emulate that. I don't know how useful I'd find that until I do a real world mix. I don't know, but hopefully you've heard what it's doing there. Let's now see if I can get Plugin Doctor involved and we can see what's going on under the hood. I'm going to turn it all off for the moment. So that noise there on the harmonics, I think are coming from some sort of grounding thing between the fact that I've got the USB plugged in there and then it's plugged into the desk. Getting a bit of noise out of that, which I wasn't getting when I had the headphones plugged directly in. But we are getting a very flat response there. So let's go to this and put the calibration on. I'm going to turn phaser line off for the second. Oh, that's wildly changed. So that's what it's doing to the signal. That's the EQ curve that it's doing with the calibration on. Let's see how much that changes if I put the phaser line on. So yeah, slightly different EQ curve, I'd imagine. I can't use the linear analysis on this, unfortunately. So what we see here with the ambience on, let me check this is just the ambience. So if I turn the ambience off, so yeah, with the ambience off, it's kind of a smooth line. But if I put the ambience on, you can see this sort of judderiness going on there. which is usually what happens when you put some sort of modulation, delay, reverb, that kind of thing. That's what you see from that kind of process. So there is something more than EQ with the ambient. It's not just sort of, it is some kind of modulation and reverb going on there, but it's incredibly subtle. I just worry about mixing with that, but at least I know what it is. And the virtual speakers, I think, is just more EQ. I can't be 100% on this, but I'm saying calibration is EQ. Phaser line is some sort of linear phase processing. The ambience is some kind of reverb, probably an IR type reverb. The virtual speakers are more EQ. So this is a lot of EQ, plus you can draw in your own EQ. I think the value in this box for me is the fact that it's external, and I can plug it into my laptop anywhere, in a hotel room, anywhere, use it as my digital to analog converter, and also be able to have it here plugged out of the master outs of my desk. That's the biggest selling point for me, is the fact that I can use it with my analog and hybrid setup, as well as using it like I would a plug-in over my left and right. Price-wise, what is it? I don't actually know. IK Multimedia gave me this when I visited them while I was on tour a couple of months ago. We passed through Florida and I went to see them. I've got an interview up on my channel about that. Hang on, IK Multimedia on-ear. So how much are they? 249, 259, 256. You're looking about £250, and dollars wise looks about the same, $250. Would you pay £250 for sort of 4 or 5 stages of EQ? Well, because that's what I'd be using it mostly for. And of course a good digital to analog converter, and being able to save the presets. I think the power in it comes from the way they've modelled all the headphones as well. You know, you're buying that library of EQ curves for all the speakers and the headphones, and you could cobble something together, get the EQ curves. I'm sure someone will export all these EQ curves at some point and upload them as impulse responses. So you could cobble together a software version of this, and there are pieces of software that kind of do close to this, but I actually think this is doing a classier job than I've seen in the software, and having it in a hardware unit that's very well made by the feel of it, my first touch. I don't know, it would be useful. Would I spend £250 on it? I've spent a lot more on a lot less, but I'm not your average person in that respect. I mean, look at me. I spend stupid amounts of money on stupid things. I don't know. If I hadn't been given it, would I buy it? I think I would, because I bought the Arc Studio, which at the time when I bought my first one was about 400 quid. They didn't give me that. I paid for that. And I wasn't sure whether it would be better than just running a software solution, which would be a hell of a lot cheaper. And I was really pleased I had the hardware, and I think it was worth the 400, so much that I bought a second one so I could have both speaker routings on Arc Studios. So for 250 quid, would I buy one for headphones? Well, yeah, because I'm on the road a lot. I probably would. Saying that, it's just been released. Would I wait 6 months or something and buy it when it's hopefully come down to sort of 200 quid? Maybe I would. I need to do some mixing with it. At first glance, I'm impressed because it's much better than the software solutions. I like the feel of it and the fact that it's a hardware unit. And I think it's actually going to be a good way of me getting into headphone mixing. Saying that, this is just a first impression. You know, I've unboxed it this morning and I'm just, I haven't even washed it. I just got out of bed and did this video. So I do need to live with it for a while. and then I will come back to you. I will do some mixes on this channel over the next couple of months. I've got some other headphones turning up because I've only got these here today to test with. I've got some Beyerdynamic, whatever they are, DT900 Pro, X Pro, Pro X headphones. I don't know what they're called, but I've got some of those turning up. And I've also got some Sony headphones that I want to check them against, and I also want to check them against my old favourites, which were the Sennheiser HD25s. I think they're the HD25s. Yes, they are the HD25s. I used to have 4 pairs of those, and I left them somewhere, and they haven't been given back to me. But leaving that aside, I do want to get another couple of pairs of those because they were the most comfortable headphones I ever wore that were closed back, and I really liked the sound of them while I was sort of like singing or doing anything else where I'd need to wear headphones. So yeah, I want to get these other headphones in, and I want to do some mixes with them, and then I will give you my updated opinion of the box. But on this Sunday morning, the 19th of October 2025, this is definitely a step in the right direction compared to the software solutions that I've tried, of which I've only tried 2, and they both were akin to each other in the fact that the calibration seemed to work, but the rest of it was rubbish. Whereas I'm actually quite enjoying the studio simulation, the ambience and the virtual speakers on this one. Even if I deem them unusable for actual mixing, it might be nice just to, once you've done the mix, to listen with those things on and, you know, get a different perspective. I like the idea of getting many perspectives out of one pair of headphones, so I'm not going and checking on different sets of speakers. To be honest, I've eliminated some of that. I mean, because this room here is still, you know, I've only been in here a few months, and I've been away on tour for 2 months of that few months, so I'm still getting used to the sound of this room. And I think I've got it now. I got back from tour and listened again. I tweaked my ARC Studio a little bit, and I did the mix that I'm testing on here, which you won't hear properly because I'm putting it through all this stuff. But I was really happy with that mix. I did go and listen to it in the front room, and I thought that was good. And then I went and listened to it in the car. In fact, it was yesterday I listened to it in the car for the first time, and I thought it translated perfectly to all those places. So I think the way I've got it set up with these HS7s and the subs and the EQ on the ARC Studio, I'm fairly confident that I'm in a position where what I'm doing is translating to everywhere else. So if I can match that with the headphones, if I can listen in these speakers and be going, oh, I'm getting the same result from headphones using this, then that is fantastic, because I really want to I've always wanted to like working on headphones. I remember doing things even with the DT100s and DT150s that we had back at Rogue, you know, 1999, 2000, 2001. I used to sit there trying to do things on headphones. It just never sounded as good as the speakers that I was working with. And it's something that's really plagued my whole sort of mixing and producing career, is my hatred for headphones. So let's try and change that with this box. So yeah, if you found this video interesting, if it's helped you in any way, please like, please subscribe, please leave me a comment. And if you want to buy this unit, you can follow the Thomann affiliate link in my description, and that gives a little bit of a kickback to me for making this video and referring you. So thank you very much if you do that. And yeah, I'm going to use them more. And rather than making another whole video about them, I'll probably just use them in other videos, as I will the Beyerdynamic headphones I'm getting in some of the others. And you will get my opinions in those. So watch out for those videos. And I will see you in another video. Goodbye.